Okay, so here's a couple of tools that, let's just go back to the previous slide, is introduction. DevTool does all the paperwork for you. It's a way to develop quickly and have it take care of the recipes, the layer, the working directory, create patches, export those patches to new layers, do Git management on your patches, and to do a lot of support, deploying packages to the target, and really helps you with the develop, deploy, and debug cycle. It's really very handy to those. And it also has years of institutional knowledge added into it. And here are some of the tools, commands it has: devtool add, devtool, so that's add a package, devtool edit a recipe of a package, devtool upgrade, where you kind of save what you've done, and devtool finish, which pushes it to the repository, so you lock in your change, and many other commands. And the question, does it help to relog? I'm not sure. We'll see. So and it's Git repository. If you want to do log, you can do that yourself. There's also other things. You can modify recipes. You can deploy to the target. You can undeploy from the target, build directly from here, not even touch BitBake, and build a BitBake image. So you can use this, and it does all the BitBake commands for you, so that you can really move quickly through the, as I said, the develop, deploy, debug cycle. Our system is great for repeated builds from source. Working with source itself can be very hard. It's tempted to just edit sources under temp work, but that is all volatile. If you do a change, or you push, or you clean, you can lose all the work you did, and it's kind of also very hard to work with the very deep directory structure that is the temp directory, with work and deploy and all the various things. So this kind of takes care of it for you. It helps new users add new software with regular builds, and within, yes, it works for both regular project and also ESDKs. ESDKs are very fancy SDKs with a full dev tool, and don't even need BitBake. It takes care of all the work for you. So we've done presentations on that in previous summits. Today, we're just focusing directly DevTool with your project. And again, it helps with the target paperwork. Some of you have that. We had that problem, the SSH sessions timeout. Michael had a command that helps you extend your sessions. So yeah, we should include that as kind of a defensive programming. Or someone could post the command to make your session more persistent. That could help people. Tmux is recommended. Okay. Yeah, please post those things while we work, and hopefully by the time you get to the actual exercises, we'll be ready to go for it. In fact, you'll be typing too much, maybe you won't time out at all. Previous presentations on DevTool, it has a long history at ELC conferences, Dr. Project Dev Days, Summit, and a lot of people have contributed to presenting this content. Here's where it is documented in the Dr. Project Reference Manual. So we did update the website a couple of weeks ago, a fabulous new website. I hope you get a chance to check it out. I haven't tried this web thing before, but we'll not do that today. Again, here's more documentation, specifically about developing kernel modules and developing the kernel, patching the kernel. So there's a couple of special tricks, of course, for working with the kernel. And we have that documented, section 2.4. Check it out. In one of our previous presentations, we did exactly that. So you can look it up in one of our previous DevTools, or just ping one of us and we'll point you to it. DevTool as a help tells you all the commands. Here's a little bit of that output. So -- help if you can't quite remember what that command is and how to use it. And here's some more of the help: arguments, source trees, recipe names, URIs. So here's a little bit about the environment, how it works. You have this is kind of your whole workspace, your whole environment. So you have the target off on the right, you have your layers off on the left, and you have your DevTool space. And you're going to develop inside the DevTool space, push stuff to and from the target, and hopefully finalize your results into your own layers so that it's persistent. You can take it to your boss You could check it in and share it with the team, all that. Here's some of the commands in this context. The build, configure, rename, deploy, status, update recipes. That's all within your workspace while you're working with stuff that's under development. Sending it off to the target, there's commands for that. Layers, just as you have you finish, we're finished. The command takes your temporary work out of the workspace and locks it into a layer. And if you want to go the other way, start editing something in your layer, or in fact, any layer that's known to the project, to your build, and that includes all of BitBake, you can then modify or upgrade, suck it into this workspace. It duplicates it, sets it up for you, and then you can just go to town. And it finds the recipe for you. It's pretty fabulous. And we're going to do all that for fun. And multiple targets, yep, works with multiple targets. You can specify a target IP. Otherwise, it uses the default that you set up. So you can get it working with one target and then just do some regression tests with multiple other targets. So it's pretty cool. There's also a second tool called Recipe Tool. We're not going to be presenting that today, but that does, we just want to call it out as a tool that can help you go with developing recipes, kind of the magic of recipes. And very, very helpful, especially if you're trying to remember the new syntax. It's been a year and still get hung up on the new syntax. Okay, going on. Questions. Let us stop, take a moment before we dive in and start getting our fingers warm. Any questions before we go? Going. Brave. Let's go on. Okay, the hands-on exercises. Please have your screens open. Let me take this out of full screen mode. Let me shrink this down. Let me put this over here to the left. I'll try to keep it big enough so that you can see what is typed. If it gets too small, please let me know. Carol gave some advice. DevTool is a superset of Recipe Tool. Oh, do I have different scopes? Yeah, Recipe Tool is focused on the syntax of recipes on the command line. You'll see actually some of that also done for VS Code in one of the presentations in the next 2 days. But yeah, it's just focused on BitBake syntax. Pretty cool. Have a shell open. My shell is still open. We're going to be opening a second shell for the QEMU session, but we'll just start with this. Kind of position it. Let me take all this garbage out from the back. Okay. Let me position my screen. Okay. Are you ready to, could you please share? Am I not sharing my screen? Need to show, oh, maybe you're not sharing everything. That must be the problem. Let me fix that. Let me stop share. Let me reshare. Share screen. Let me share everything. Okay, does everyone see the slides and the terminal? Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Charles, Andre. Stupid Zoom. Yep. Okay, we'll go with that. Okay, so we've already built the content, but let's we need to set up a couple things. We're going to be using SSH to do clever things with the target. So let's do a little bit of setup. We're going to kind of leverage. Okay. Yes, I have to go to edit mode in. Okay, we're going to make this directory the .ssh in your home directory if you have not already built it. File exists. I already did that. Let me cat what's there. Doesn't like that P. Oh, slash. Let me see if I already created it. Nope, I have not created. Yes, I hear someone.
This is directory. You need the config. This is config.
Oh, yes. So let's do nano. Let's do the whole thing. I see I created the directory, but did not edit the file. Okay, here we go. So we're going to create a QEMU definition, connection definition. for SSH because we'll be using SSH as the avenue. It lost my formatting. I hate that. And here's some couple of the magic values to make sure that the connection is the way you expect. Okay, and when you got that right, and Control X to save. Okay, and let's cat that just to make sure. Cat $home /.ssh config. Okay. Port hosting, those are my defaults. Okay, let's go on. Let us go into the project, cd into the Poke directory, and we're going to source into the build devtool directory that you prepared earlier. If I'm too fast, let me know. I want everyone to stay with us. And I've already built my car image, so I'm not going to need to do that. Okay, next slide. We're going to use bitbake layers to create a temporary layer. This is our layer, our master layer. This is where we're going to lock stuff into. We're going to give it a clever name, just .metafoo. And make sure I don't already have it. This is my installation. So no .metafoo. Let's run this command. And it does all sorts of clever stuff with bitbake in the background through tinfoil. And okay, we do ls metafoo. Excellent. Now let's add this layer to our project, to our build directory, bitbake layers, add layer. Again, using a tinfoil in the background. So tail conf bblayers.conf. There it is, metafoo. Since we're going to be using Git, let's make sure that Git knows who you are, otherwise you'll get errors later. So I'm going to name myself. And I'll go ahead and give my email address because I can. David, Reyna at windriver.com. If I didn't introduce myself, my name is David Reyna. I forgot to do that. Been with the Octa Project for a decade or more. This is going to be my 9th summit. I've been running the summits, dev days, and for many years. Okay. We're ready there. Now let's open a second session. So you've seen I've done a $1. This is to indicate this is the first shell. Open a second shell. This is going to be your simulator. So whatever tool you have, create a new connection. I'm having fun trying to do it on Windows. So let's try that. Summit, load, open. Let's put this shell down a little bit further down. And I need my magic password. Close your eyes. Cool. Okay, CD again to the, let's bring back the PDF. CD home into the Poke directory. Source the project, build directory. I don't think that copy took. Curious. Let's try that again. Please slow down. I can't catch up. Okay, Dale. Yeah, I use putty because it works. It's kind of lowest common denominator. I haven't gotten myself up to use PowerShell. Whenever I do it, I say, why isn't this bash? The second source command does miss the dot slash. It doesn't seem to make a difference. Sometimes it matters. I'd be interested to know when it does matter. So it's going to be bash if you set up your environment to always start bash. I got a couple of machines that start up dash, one that starts up shell, one that starts up C shell. Oh my goodness. So I just have to force bash. And when you're ready, start your target. So here's the moment of truth. Run QEMU is a command that wraps the bitbake commands that start up QEMU. It's aware of your deploy directory, it's aware of your kernel image, it's aware of your user space image, and so it brings that together and starts up QEMU. And there's a little magic here, which we're going to go to the next slide, about how we set up the network connection, because it's important, the network connection. By the way, since we're here, the login is just root, no password, because we turned on the bug tweaks. Okay, are we ready to go to the next slide? Any nays? Okay, so okay, so devtool add. We're going to import a layer from the community, from the open source, and cancel. It's trying to do something. Let's copy that again, and let's paste it in. We're going to devtool add this tarball. I'm going to start the command, and oh, wrong target, wrong shell. This is my target shell. So obviously that's not going to work. So let's bring up my other shell. Okay, I'm back to my environment. Let me shrink that out of the way. Okay, let's do that in the right environment. That's better. So it grabs this version of Nano from the upstream repository, brings it in. It guesses the name for the recipe. Not too hard because it just sees the first word in the name, but they've covered a bunch of exceptions, weird naming things. So it's actually not a blind guesser. There is some intelligence between how it guesses a good name for the package.
David, can I ask one question here?
Please.
Like I have the problem with the devtool add. I use normally like a Git repo, but normally it expect like the master branch. I have like in my branching no master branch, and this is I don't know how to solve if there's some patch for that. Like normally it expect to take the only the master branch, and there is no way to define -b development branch or something else.
So is this when you create, I'm sorry, what's the context that you're running Git command? We haven't run any yet.
No. Like here, you use devtool to add this nano editor. You have used
Yes.
the
Oh,
like the tar .xz, but also
yes.
it's possible to use directly the Git to add that from a Git repo.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, and
Capital B is source branch. So if you look at the devtool add help, it has a source branch option. So you want to use -capital B.
okay, dash capital B will support the branching. Okay, that's a good hint.
Thank you, Tim. So we created the workspace. If it didn't already exist, this is kind of our sandbox. It guessed, as I mentioned, the recipe name, looks at the source and determines what kind of project it is. And in this case, it observed, not too hard, that it's an auto tool based project. And so it's going to set up the right recipe, includes that imports that are going to match this recipe to as best as it can to that observation. And it does a lot of also guessing on the depends. I don't know what kind of black magic they did, but we'll find out that it did actually a lot. So let's check what the recipe came up with. Let's look at devtool status. Let's just see where we are in our environment, what we've done with that previous command. It starts a bit server, tells us nano, tells us where it is. It created a directory called workspace for you. So let's just take a look at that ls workspace that wasn't there before. It created a whole little mini layer here. You'll find under the recipes, it magically created nano. You'll see under the source, if I can spell, the nano packages, the nano source rather. Yeah, so let's say we weren't sure where it is. We want to know exactly where it is. So let's use devtool to tell us where the recipe is. And it starts up there, and there it is, your absolute path. If you want to edit it directly, this is what you copy. If you're just lost and you don't know where it ended up, this is how you can find it. So let's edit that recipe. So the question, did you add source? Nope. We did source at the very beginning. My devtool add is still doing compile for autoconf. That's weird. So we'll be talking about VS Code during the conference. If someone could answer the questions, I'm not quite sure why devtool add is taking so long. Oh, Trung, yeah, one of the earlier slides is about sourcing your environment. Okay, it's done. Okay, let's play. Permission denied. Why in the world is permission denied? Well, this is new.
You're trying to execute the recipe.
Yeah, there is no comment from.
Oh, let's try that again. Oh yeah, I did I forgot what I was pasting. Okay, here we go. So here's the recipe. It found it for you. It brought it up in your default editor. And this is the recipe for nano. So we can wander about. And all you see here was calculated by devtool for your benefit. It found the source. It generated the MD sums and the SHA sums. And oh my goodness, SHA 512, 384 is not leaving anything to chance. It figured out these dependencies with AutoMagic, zlib, incursus, and file. I'd be curious how they did that. I guess scanning the make files. There's magic there. What if there are multiple BB files? That's an interesting question. Yeah, because of a BB. Well, you're generating one from scratch in this exercise. So there is no other BB file. There's only one. It's not until you start doing include files and really kind of making the package so sophisticated that you find two. So in this case, no, not a problem, but your general question is what happens if you do this against multiple recipes? I am not sure. Maybe Tim knows. So inherit, this is where it guessed that this was an AutoTools based package. It also guessed that we needed get text and package config. So it did that for you. So with it, and Nano's not a trivial package. So this is pretty cool. It did all that work for you. You know, with your first time, maybe you won't get all of that, but it'll get you a lot of the way there. So at least you get a running start. So okay, so we're done with that. Let's just quit. So I'm in VI, so we're out. Next slide. Let's try to build it. So devtool is going to figure out where the package is, start up tinfoil bitbake, and attempt to build this package. So there goes the bitbake server. Doing all this magic. So the environment of devtool keeps track of a lot of things for you, like where stuff is. You can't use bitbake directly because bitbake doesn't know about this workspace, doesn't know about your external directory for layers. It doesn't know your environment. It's more focused on things. You'd have to pass a lot of parameters to use bitbake. That's why devtool, it's smart. It knows the context. It knows this concept of the workspace. It knows where the target is. So it does a lot of that for you. You do not have to figure out all the bitbake extensions or environments you have to set up and all that. Okay, I'm gonna pause here for everyone to catch up. You're welcome, Andre. We'll give this a moment. It built. Let's just pause and wonder that it built straight out of the box. You grabbed a tarball, created a smart recipe, and this is built. A little bit garden path example here, but just to tell you that devtool has a lot of power behind it. So if it can do that for this, it can get you most of the way for more complex packages. We are going to install the packages into our image. That's going to be a later exercise. Okay, I'm going to, unless someone is still stuck, I'm going to continue. Okay, let's take a tree of the directories in our workspace and let's just see what we came up with. I'm going to give a snapshot of what's going on. So this is our workspace, our little sandbox. So it has the conf, defines it as a layer, directory, recipes, nano, sources, nano, and it built all this content. And you see it gives you handy dandy symlinks to where in the build tree your content is. And you're going to care about the logs, definitely. If it doesn't work, here's a fast way to find the logs. You don't have to go this long path and, oh my goodness, guess which subdirectory it's in. And this is the case Cortex A S7, Poke Linux. There's like 5 of those different architect directories. I can always have to do a search and find. So this tells you, and also the work directory in case you want to look at the source, if there was an error, whatever. It really helps you find your content. Okay. Let's continue. Let's grep the manifest. Let's just take a look at what we have in the local manifest of the image. This is actually going to address the question that came up in a moment. So we did a grep of the for nano within the manifest for the current core image base for QEMU manifest. So if this package was part of the image we're working with, it would appear here. It does not appear here, so it's not at this moment part of the target, part of the image. And let's just double check. Go over to your second terminal and just see if nano is here, just to prove that there's nothing up our sleeves. Nano, nothing. Okay, nothing. Now let's do a deploy. And we have a little helpful hint if -S if you have a problem, because underneath this is SSH. So let's go to the first shell, not the target shell, and let's deploy it. Connects to the target. There's that warning about Ubuntu 23, and it seems happy. Let's see if it actually happened. Let's go run to the target. Let's do which nano. Look at that. There it is. Let's do nano on foo.bar. Bay. Look at that. Okay, let's just quit. Let me just exit. Just not save the buffer because I was messing around. So in all this time, we brought in a tarball source package, had devtool create a recipe, have devtool build it, have devtool deploy it to the target, and here we are. That's pretty darn fast development. I'm always, go ahead.
Yeah, does it use any package manager to install Nano, or just connect to SSH and copy the file directly to it?
We're going to see that in a moment. We're going to pull back that curtain. The answer is no, but yes.
Okay.
So it doesn't do a heavyweight package manager like RPM or iPackage or any of those. It kind of has its own little quick and dirty, because this really is for quick and dirty development. So you'll see that in a moment. So I'll bring it to your attention when it happens. But good question. To the questions. Now let's just mention some of the magic we did. When we deployed to the target, you notice that I should have mentioned earlier, but we use Slurp. There's two ways to connect to a target that we have network support. The one way is tap. This is a more traditional way, and it is simple to set up, but you have to have sudo access. And you may not, probably don't have access to sudo if this is a corporate environment, or if you're otherwise being careful of your sources. The other one is Slurp. That's a user space thing. And this is where we bring in SSH. So certain commands like the -s start coming into play. And that's when we define that special connection naming up earlier in our config file for SSH, where we define nano. We said nano is at port 22 at this local thing. And here's the parameters for making connections. So if you go back and look at, well, let's just look at it quickly. Again, cat home/.ssh. It helps if I spell /.ssh config. Yep. So host QEMU, localhost port 22. Key checking, no. This we're all friends here. And user host file. We don't care about that. We're not going to be creating connections that are going to be persistent and such. So that's very fun. You do that and you just add a little slurp to your run QEMU, and you do not have to be root. It really is advantageous. Okay, let's go on. Let's see it nano run. Okay, we're going to build the image from devtool. And this is to address the earlier question. We noticed earlier that we did a check on the manifest and saw that nano was not part of the manifest. Let us make it part of the manifest. So go to your shell 1 for your installation and run that command and see BitBake do its thing. It does the package for the project in the project directory. Find the RPM for nano. Now it's ability to root FS. So devtool knew from the name of the recipe we're building where to find the source, where to find the BitBake recipes, where to find the layer content, knows how to connect it up with the BitBake system and make all the wires and connections all match up. So question, does devtool dependence deploy target also deploy our dependencies? I myself am not sure. I would think so, because it
No.
has to have the, oh, it doesn't. Okay.
Because it doesn't know what's already on your target.
Ah,
You have to know.
okay. That makes sense. It's smart, but not that smart by necessity. Okay, I'm at
I went through all
81%.
of that. If you go back in the wonderful Wayback Machine to 2017, I gave examples of stuff that it doesn't do.
Ah. Was that one of the presentations I pointed to at the top?
Yes, it was.
Excellent.
Also, devtool only handles one BB file at a time, or I mean, so you have to have if you want to work with multiple BB files or multiple recipes, they all have to be in your workspace. So I'm not sure exactly what the context was earlier of that question. Since I had already interrupted you, I thought I'd try to answer it.
Thank you, Tim. So as I mentioned in the slide, this takes 2.5 minutes, but it'll be worth it at the end. So stretch, catch up. Okay,
Wanna
I am
Talk
done.
about the ADB question in the chat, David.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. Can someone answer the ADB question?
ADB is Android debugger, I believe, and I don't know the rest of the answer.
Well, we have a context. So I would say,
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know that we have that ADB even built. Anyway, I don't use it. I don't do any Android development, so I have no idea.
Hey, this is Kim. Yeah, I think ADB is there. It's part of MetaOE and you can add it, but I don't think we support it in the core.
And there's no integration with devtool then. If you think there should be, patch is welcome. Or even bug reports or feature requests in the Yahoo Bugzilla.
Thanks for answering. Like the question, I have one embedded Linux device which have ADB, which support ADB. It is not Android, but it support the ADB. And the question was like, I don't want you to use the SSH. If I can use devtool with the ADB directly to deploy in the target.
I think you volunteered to implement it,
Okay, yeah, thanks.
and we appreciate that.
Yeah, I will look. Then maybe one other question. Is the devtool also part from the extended SDK?
It's primarily designed for the SDK. I think Tim added that note above. We're using it just to kind of help projects go faster, because it works here as well. But the DevTool has no bitbake. The DevTool is the tool to do the developments, and it has all the power it needs to do that. So there's, in fact, we'll show a slide later of the extra commands you get when you do DevTool within the ESDK environment.
Okay, because the idea, like if I have my own image, but I only to deploy, like to add some more packages or remove some packages from the core image base.
Yes. And just to plug the ESDK, that's an excellent way to share with the team how to develop your content on your target without having them to learn bitbake commands. So the ESDK is very powerful, has a lot of support, DevTool and other things.
Okay, yeah.
So
But
we're going to see how the DevTool on deploy works in just a moment. Oh, sorry, you want to finish your sentence?
like extended SDK does not have the bitbake like inside.
Correct.
Okay, I cannot like with normal SDK, I cannot use the bitbake recipe, but with the extended is also possible, like to build to understand the recipe like terms.
Yes. The
Okay.
SDK can compile and it can run, I think, QEMU, and that's about it. So it's mostly designed to be used to build stuff and then attach it to Eclipse or in the days.
Well, he's
you'd
asking
also
about the
use Carbon.
extensible SDK.
Yeah. I was just
So that has
contrasting with
a
the
little bit
SDK.
more capability.
Yep. And we'll
It
see
has,
that.
it has some capability of running some bitbake type stuff inside of it.
So the question port 2222, it's all optional. It's kind of default values. You can change it if you need to. That comes back to the multiple target question. We'll update manifest for current machine. I don't know. We gave it actually the image, the target image. I don't know if it does I don't remember how multi-machine support works. So we'll have to pose that to the experts. Okay, let's go on. So, so let's just examine the manifest and just see if Nano made it. Over here. So let's do Control R grep. And there it is. 3 packages added to support Nano in the manifest. Pretty cool. So now it's part of your image. And when you reboot this target, it's going to be there. Okay. So why not use BitBake Core Image? Because again, devtool knows the environment, knows your workspace, knows everything, and can work with the name of the specific package that you want to add. So pretty clever. Okay, let's go on. This update Nano. And we're going to hit an error on purpose. Do not panic. Let's attempt to upgrade. And this means we're going to try to bring in Nano and then edit it, upgrade it. But it's already there because we were just working with it. So you should hit this error. This is correct and proper. So you don't want to overwrite your work. So we need to move Nano from this workspace into our layers, kind of lock it in. And our default is MetaFoo, which we created earlier. So what's happening here is Nano was put into your workspace and we push it to the target and back, but we can't bring it in again to upgrade it. So we need to lock it in. So we're going to finish it, take it out of the devtool workspace, put it into our layer, make it permanent so that we can share it, do all the clever stuff. And then we're going to bring it right back in as the example to how you can edit in a recipe, a package. And this is a local one we brought in. You can do it also for any package within BitBake. We'll see an example in a few minutes. Okay, let's do that. Let's finish this thing. We're going to get a small error, but don't panic. Toss that into your shell. So and notice that because it captured all the content we brought in into Git, and notice is that there is modified content. Well, this is autoconfig, so yeah, it does that. And there's some files it just doesn't recognize. Where'd those come from? And so, so the thing is, in this case, we don't care. We don't care about the extra content. We don't care about the changes. We're just happy to move it as is. So let's just do the same command and with a -F, and it gives you that advice. Ensure that you committed your changes or just use -F to force a change. So let's just force it. There it goes. Okay. So it used to be when we did this last year that you had to remove that directory from the workspace. I think so many people kept running into forgetting to do that, that they changed it. So I've crossed this out and I bring it to your attention that if you used devtool before, you do not have to do this command anymore. It's not there. So we finished it, we did it. So we can go on. So now let's upgrade it. And we're going to get another error because there's going to be some magic. When it tries to actually go back to open source and see, well, is this the latest version we're trying to upgrade to? Can it find it? And it's going to fail because it's going to guess what the next version is to pull down. And it's not going to find it because it actually, the guess is not there upstream. Pow, error. And the could not find the URL for 7.2. 7.2, here's the message, is what a guessed next version would be, or latest version, and it's not there. So good try, but we can accommodate for that. We can give it, let's say we actually want 5.9, not 7.2. Let's just grab 5.9. And if you went to the upstream repository, you'd find that branch. So we could do that a little bit later. And so let's just tell it, I want 5.9, please. So this is where you need to assist it a little bit. So it finds version 5.9, brings it into your workspace, and this is your, now we can work with the latest. We upgraded it from the previous version to this new version, and there it is, 5.9. Happy. And it builds. Let's just toss the build command at it. Your dev tool. So the question is, why did we choose 5.9? Because I knew that when I went, if you looked at the repository, the URL that we used at the beginning, if you open that up in your browser, you'll find what the supported versions are truly for Nano. And I just selected the one I wanted. So I could do that, but I don't want to mess up my screens. But yeah, go ahead and just see for yourself. Go back to where we selected the URL, open it up in your browser, and just see what's there. And in fact, I did that to confirm what it was doing. So we're just proving to ourselves that it builds this new version. Data brought down. Done. Does it redo the packages and dependencies? I believe it does. Because there's a new version, I think it does a rescan. And certainly it will recalculate all the SHA sums. So it does that. So it makes sense it does the rest of the magic. Because obviously the previous SHA sums would not be appropriate for the new version. Okay, let's go on. Let's look at some of that magic where we don't have a package manager, but we do. Let's go to the second shell, cd to the root directory. Let's do ls-a. You'll notice that there's a magic directory put into your root .devtool. And if we take a look at it, let's cd to that. cd to .devtool. And let's take a look. ls-l. So nano.list. If we cat that file. So this is our little package manager. For this package, it has a list of what it installed, what it brought down. So it knows what to put in, and therefore it knows what to pull out. And it knows if there's going to be a collision or anything. So that's our package manager, a text file. But it works. And it's all, support the very fast deploy, develop, deploy, and debug cycle. So it's sufficient for the purpose. So, yep, then a list. Here's some of the details. Creates a script, copy to target, preserves any files that would be clobbered, generates a list of files to be deployed. Deploying starts first undeploying. So yeah, if it was there already, it would automatically detect that, undeploy the previous instance, and copy over the new one. And so we actually, you didn't notice it, but we upgraded the version on the target when we pushed it, removing the previous one. Okay, let's prove that the undeploy works. In your first shell, run this little command. I think even if this is only a recipe, I think it actually deletes this directory. Let's go to cd to root and let's do ls-a. You see the .devtool directory is completely gone. If there's only one recipe, you remove it, it gets rid of the whole directory. So that's kind of the smart cleanup process. I don't think we pushed the new version. That's why. So yeah, we just skipped the pushing the new version because we know that that works. We just want to prove that we could. Oh, and if we do which nano, it's gone. Yeah, so normally we would push the new one, deploy the new one. We're skipping that step because we hope you believe us. So let's lock in this new version to our layer, our meta foo layer. Go to your first shell. Let's lock it in. In this case, yeah. Okay, it still gives the message. Do you remove the content from the workspace, but it's no longer the workspace, so that's a bug. I should file it in recipes. Yeah, it's gone. So we need to update this warning message. It's obsolete. Okay, let's go on. Can you know if there was a version already deployed? I don't think status works for the thing. I think you actually need to go to the target and see. If you like that feature, submit a patch. DevTool status. Let's just check with the, you can do it. Does not want to do it. Come on. Here we go. Copy. First shell, DevTool status. No nano, no nothing. Oh, let's see. Oh, it did the copy correctly. Let's try again. Dev tool status. When in doubt, type. Okay, nothing in the workspace. Now let's have some fun. Let's grab an F tool. That's Ethernet tool. That's in BitBake in one of the layers, the meta layers. But DevTool knows that. Finds it for you, brings it into this workspace. There's the recipe. Let's check the latest version of DevTool because you could have a couple of different versions in our layers. Oh, it brings it into the editor. Sorry, quit. Come on. Quit. It opened the editor, but we don't need to do that. So sorry, let's bring that command. Check the latest version if the Ethernet tool. It is. Current version 6.2, latest version 6.6. So 6.6 is held on the side, 6.2 is the default. Let's find where that recipe came from, because I promised it came from one of the meta layers. And it did indeed come from meta. Couldn't be more meta than that. Recipes extended, ftool, there's a BB thing. So everything we learned about working with Nano, you can now do to recipes within any layer that's registered in this build directory. And let's just search where it is, just to prove that this command works. So it finds the information about it. Headers. Oh, I see. It's a search. If you're not sure of the name of the recipe, you can search for it. You can find it, and then it found it just ftool. I don't know if it does wildcards. I'm curious. Okay, it kind of does. I use a shortened version. I still found it. Very good. Let's go on. So time check. I'm after my first hour, so I think we're doing well. So let's start creating patches. Use case. We need patches to fix stuff, add functionality, maybe reduce the target, play with the recipe and try to fine tune it. Remove dependencies, our dependencies. Again, to reduce the target, reduce the complexity, whatever else. Maybe need to make it cross-compile because it works for ARM, but not maybe x86, or God forbid, PPC or MIPS. So we're going to do something here. We're going to add this sample package that was provided to us by Trevor Warner. So let's suck this in. This is just another tarball, so we can't see the Git stuff. We should add example that pulls in a Git repository. We should make a version of this repository that does that, just to see the branch selection. Okay, it was brought in, successful, as it should be. Let us build this example. How does it know the latest version? I think it finds all the BB files for that thing and finds the one with the latest version as part of the name. You're building it. In our special dev tool way. Inside our workspace or sandbox. And let's run it on QEMU. We're going to deploy it to the QEMU target as named in our SSH file. So that's how you select different targets if you have multiple by the name. And if you didn't do the name, you'd have to do the IP address and the port and whatever other flags you need. Okay, deployed. Let's see if this bad boy is running on the target. Which found. That's for forward delete doesn't work.
We are getting error on the fetch.
Yeah, I guess because the copy from the PDF ignores the dash, so it should be autotools dash devtool dash example.
So I tried to remove any dangling space, but maybe your copy didn't catch that. Yeah, so I would recommend you get it, put it into a comment, paste it, and then check yes for the syntax. Yeah, we try to make sure that the backslashes have no spaces or the dashes. It is normal dashes, not double dashes or any of those problems, but you may have been hit by that. Okay, very good. Sorry for the confusion. There's a comment. Okay. So it ran. So this is just one we brought down. Let's create a patch for it. We're going to go into this directory. Simple push. If you weren't sure where the directory is, you could use that find command you saw earlier. But we know where it is. Just push there. And let's edit the example file. C. Slow down, please. Sorry, Jeff. So I'll just run this. Oh.
You are on the target.
Ah, I always do that. Thank you. Okay, didn't type it correctly. Oh, CX. Say buffer no. What? Interesting.
Oh, in the wrong directory.
Probably. Oh yes, because I did CD directory on the target, and that failed, and I forgot. Okay, so this X failed, right? Nope, I don't want to do that. Help me. Cancel. Control C. Control X. Save buffer. No. Okay, let's try that again with feeling. Okay. So that slowed me down, Jeff. Here we are. Simple thing. Go ahead and jump in. Add a comment, prove that you made a change. Write it. X. Pause for a moment. Push T. That's one of my favorite commands. It pushes the current directory, saves it. And when you go to a new directory, then when you're ready, you can do a pop D that takes you back where you were. And you can go any number of directories deep. So if you're going to go somewhere and then somewhere else and then somewhere else, you just pop D back and you get home. It really saves keeping track of many places. Oh, and Thomas answered too. Thank you, Thomas. Yeah, every time I get a new intern, that's the first thing I teach them. That tab completion. Okay, so we made a change. Let's build it. Let's pop. Here's your pop command. Pop D, as I promised. Takes us home. Magic. Let us build this example and let us deploy this example. So we did build, we did deploy, and now this is the debug part of the cycle. And go ahead and push it to the target. QEMU in this case. Andre is showing off. He knows an extra command to CD dash. It does a minus on your CD and comes back to the previous directory. It knows that because your previous directory is, of course, in your shell, one of your environment variables, which is SADME. And go over to the target, go on the command. Oh, right, I did that. There it is. There's my change. That's you wrapped up. Okay, we've completed this slide. Let's go on. Now we're going to try to finish this, finalize it to our master layer. And there'll be a warning as you got before, but don't worry. Make sure I get the right shell this time. Push it, and there's going to be an error. And there should be an error because we actually this time truly modified it. So we do want this change. We don't care about these two, but we do want this change. That's for real. So let's see that magic that Git has behind the scenes done for us. So let's push into that directory. I think devtool didn't want to mess with remote directories, trying to commit stuff at a distance. So they have you push into it. Let's commit. Let's just use the default values. No SYM. So let's write out, please, X, thank you. And just to prove, let's do a git log. And this is here's my initial commit. Well, I haven't pushed, well, there's no push. Okay, let's pop out of here. Pop D. Let's finish it, but this time with the force, because we did that change and we're happy. We don't care about the two temporary files. Okay, and again, I crossed out this command. If you used devtool before, you don't no longer need to do this. We should have done git status. That's what's not git log. Okay. So now if we try to upgrade it, it's not gonna find a newer version because this sample layer doesn't have a newer version. There's nothing to find. So we'll need to help it again. Let's give it a version instead of 1.0. Let's give it 1.0.1 just to give it a number. So we're just giving this new version a number. We're just guessing .01 from .0. And the output is a little different. I crossed out what is not there anymore. I show what is still there. And upgraded source extracted. New recipe. And actually that should cross out some more because you don't need to have this information is no longer net generated. So little changes to devtool since last year. Going on. Keep the old, keep the new. In this case, there was no conflict. So this slide is optional. There's sometimes we have a merge you try to do and there's a conflict and you have to look at the diff file and fix it up and then redo the thing. In this case, devtool was smart enough to merge the old with the new change with the previous content. So in this case, nothing to do. So if there's a garden path, devtool will try to find it for you. If not, if there's a conflict, if you do get a conflict for all this stuff, then this is how you resolve it. You just cd to the directory, edit the file, find the patch, insert it, fix it, and add it, rebase, continue. Normal git commands. So Michael, I do not know the answer to your question. Maybe someone can answer for you. Okay, let's finish the recipe with -n. And -n is documented. I forget what it does. It inspects it first and dumps it there so we can see what we did. And if we're happy with the proposed change, oh, the .n is just is the trial run. It does what it thinks is going to be the new version. You can check it out. If you like it, then do it without the -n and does it for reals. So no dump of the recipe file or anything. Okay. We have now completed this. So let's do a tree on the metafoo. And it created a patch for us. Oh, I think I messed up. I think I missed a step. Okay, if you do it right, you're going to get the patch created. Sorry. If you pay more attention than I do, you will see a patch automatically created, added to the recipe, and in your official layer. So you've now productized your changes and can share it with the world, and it will not disappear if you rebuild your project or toss away your project. Okay, so this is what you should expect it if you're better than me. Yeah, you won't get a conflict in this side because BitBig devtool was smart enough to resolve, Git was smart enough to resolve the differences. So to do this on a regular recipe, if you notice, we did an external tarball, which is down. Then we did an internal recipe, which was ethtool. And this time we did external tarball and patched it. Exact same workflow. You bring it in, you do the same thing you could do with that tool. You bring in it with that tool, then you do the exact same process of editing, building, deploying. So all symmetric. There's no special rule. Everything is fair game for a dev tool that knows all of this stuff. So this is what we've seen. It takes the recipes from layers, unpack sources into workspace. You can edit, develop, compile, deploy, all this stuff. And this is, yeah, this is to your point, existing recipe, exactly what I was saying. It's the same thing. So we're going to actually do this. Let's modify BC. Okay, make sure you're in the right directory. Yes, I'm in the right place. Okay, devtool modify BC. So the Git staging is all automatic. Ah, okay. Well, maybe I forgot the Git add. That's probably what happened. Because they want you to do the Git commands manually. That's what I must have forgotten. Thank you. Okay, let's edit that recipe for BC. We just sucked in from a meta layer. Here we are. So look at libmath. Libmath. Here it is. File libmath. Take a note of it. Then let's exit and continue. So libmath.h. Okay, this is VI, so quit. Okay, so we're going to push into that directory you sucked in from the external meta layer. LS. So here's the source that was brought in from the meta layer. Let us OE the OE local file. And there's your libmath.h. So I was able to find it underneath the OE local files. We're going to edit now main, nano bc main.c. Okay, I don't think we're editing the recipe in this case, but the actual file. So here's the file. Make a trivial change. Oh, there's spaces here. Interesting. Let's add a comment in C format, not Python. Hi world. Close comment. C style. Okay, let's write. Let's exit. Let's commit what I just did. -s. Hit commit. A wrong target. Hit that. Hit commit. Okay, I have to add it. Hit add pc/main. C/main. That's better. Now let's commit. Commit -s. Insert. It's already insert mode. Add a comment field. Okay, this is nano, so Control Out, Control X. So we're just adding a comment to this commit file. You can do add anything you want. Okay, let's pop out of this subdirectory. Let us finish this work to our favorite local layer. Here's the BB append, is updated. Here's the patch file created for us by Git. It's copied in, so that this time I got a patch file. Yay for that. It has my comment field in the patch. The first line is automatically added as part of the patch name. So in this case, we finished it, I think I did. Yep, we finished it and pushed. Let's go to the next slide. Realizes that the BC recipe was not in MetaFoo yet. It created thus it created a BB append because the previous BB append was, the previous BB file was not sufficient. So it went ahead and created a BB append for you that would then add the patch declaration. Okay. We're coming to the last 6 minutes and we're on the last slide. See for that. So yeah, mentions of the ESTK tool. That's where devtool really takes off, replaces all the need for BitBake, handed to people who are terrified of BitBake or don't want to know about BitBake. Just use his guided tool. DevTool is pretty cool. Can do a lot of developments. There's extra commands in the ESTK, like building an SDK. Package stuff you can do. Has run QEMU instead of the other QEMU command. It has add, SDK install, SDK update. So it can generate child SDKs from its environment that you can then pass on to your development tools. The dev tool for normal things has to create workspace because it needs to do that. Unless you would have it just do the default, where it creates a default one, but you can name a workspace. You got multiple workspaces. Why does the SDK get all the extra features? No BitBake, no scripts. DevTool is the cornerstone of the ESDK. And if you want to see DevTool used for ESDK, we have a couple of previous classes on that. So as you go to town, in addition to the classes on editing the kernel. Future, multi-config support, recipe modification fixes, recipe tool enhancements, making the ad smarter. And we heard a couple ideas here today. Insert them here, please. And we look forward to a patch. So there's your tour of DevTool. I hope it was interesting.